Hello. Hello, and welcome to episode 42 of the Knotted Knits podcast. I am your host, Amy. This is Dill, and I am a little worried with the microphone. You might hear him purring more than you normally do. I apologize for that in advance, but I know some of you really look forward to seeing him on these episodes. This is a knitting channel, and it is where I come to you weekly-ish. I think it's been about 3 weeks since I've done a proper podcast, so I have quite a few projects to chat with you on this episode. You can find me on Instagram as the_knotted_knitter, and that is where I share most of the behind the scenes of what I'm working on and how I incorporate knitting in my life. The other thing that I wanted to chat about as we're doing the intro is the Fiber Friends yarn swap. Thank you to everyone who tuned in for the special episode that I did with Rachel from the Purls and Polish podcast. But I would like to thank you all for the warm welcome that you gave Rachel on my channel, and a huge thank you to everyone from her podcast channel who stopped over here to visit and check out my channel. If you are new here, welcome, and if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Fiber Friends partners were matched up over the weekend, and everyone should have gotten an email with their partner's information. In the information that Rachel collected on the forms, we did not, do not, and will not ask for your mailing address. So you definitely want to make sure you've reached out to your partner to at least get that information. If you have not heard from your partner, please reach out to Rachel or I so we can touch base with that person just to make sure everything's okay. We know sometimes emails go to junk folders, and we don't want anyone to miss out who is looking forward to the yarn swap. Shall we talk about some knitting? The first project that I am going to share, I'm going to link the pattern name and designer below, which I did forget. There will be show notes for this episode below. So all of the yarn dyers, pattern makers, bag makers, all of those normal things will be listed in the show notes below. I am a very big fan of the yarn harlot Stephanie Purl McPhee. I read her blog for years and follow her on Instagram. Was fortunate enough to make it to one of her book signings when she came to Pennsylvania, and she is a prolific knitter who knits for many of the babies that are coming into her life. And I remember she shared a story on her platform about finishing a project for a baby and the baby not coming until the project was finished. So there is a mother-to-be out there who is waiting for me to sew 2 buttons on this dress. I picked out the buttons. I need to sew the buttons on. Technically, I need to block the dress also. But I will not be gifting this to mother and baby until the baby arrives and we are allowed to visit. It is not a gift for a baby shower. So it is to be given to the baby when she arrives, but I don't think the baby is going to arrive until I sew on the buttons. So I am calling this a finished project because I want it done so I can gift it to mama and baby and take the pressure off of myself to not be the reason that the child has not been born. Today is mother's due date, so this is my editing project to sew on 2 buttons. The yarn that I used for this dress was Knit Picks Felici, and I did use 1.5 skeins. Preparation for podcasting, I did put the yarn tag away, so all of the details for the dress will be in the show notes below. I don't think this was a work in progress, the last episode. I started it on a whim as we were going to our daughter's last dance competition and needed a mindless in the round project, and this was perfect. I followed the pattern exactly as written. This is for a newborn, so it should grow with blocking. I'm a little nervous if the armhole is big enough and I'm a little nervous if the neckband is too small. It has been years since I have knit baby things, but we have a lot of babies coming into my life right now. It's just the season, I guess. I have 3 people that are semi-close to me, close-ish and not too close, that are expecting between June and November. So 4, not counting the baby that this dress is for. So 4 babies that are on their way. So there might be more baby knits in future episodes. That is the only project that I've actually finished. And like I said, I still need to sew those buttons on. So it's not quite finished, but we're saying it's finished. One of the other projects that I've worked on is in my Barley Purl bag. And this is my Scrappy pair of socks. I am knitting for a friend, and I'm very happy to say they're not a surprise anymore. I had the friend who is going to receive this pair of socks try the sock on so I know if it fits, and it does. Now I'm more motivated to knit the second sock. I am knitting this pair of socks using 2 50-gram skeins from Woolberry Fiber Co. I knit 64 stitches on US 0 9-inch circular needles. Addi circulars are my preferred sock knitting needle. I did 20 rows of 2x2 ribbing and then 8, it's either 6 or 8 rows. Heel is knit in one color and cuff and toe are knit in the opposite color. And working on sock 2, it is going to be opposite sock number 2. Not that it counts for a whole lot. I have the cuff done. And I have a few more rows, probably 10, 15 rows to go on the cuff. And then I'm going to work on the self-striping repeats to get these done. But I am very, very proud of myself. I cut the yarn in between my color repeats, and on either side I am bragging because I am so proud of how good I did weaving in the ends on the whole sock that you can't tell where the joins are. I didn't do anything special, so I kind of amazed myself at this weaving in ends that I did for this project. These are knit to fit a women's US 9 shoe. So they are just slightly longer than how I knit the length of my socks. I did ask for some feedback. I really didn't get much in the way of an exact measurement, which is what led me to asking my friend to try on the sock. That way I knew they would fit her. I didn't want to make her feel bad if gifting them and them not fitting. So sock 1 is done, sock 2 has been started, and will eventually, hopefully at some point this coming week, be one of the projects that is a primary focus. Another project that I've cast on that you've not seen is in a Mrs. Brown's bag, and we have hit High School Musical season. So for those of you who don't know, my daughter does dance, she does theater, and we attend a lot I don't know what a normal amount of High School Musicals are to see in one season, but we go to a lot of High School Musicals. This coming weekend, we're going to see 2. We have one of my best, very, very best friends. Her daughter is doing Addams Family. She is in the Addams Family. And we have another friend that their school district is doing High School Musical. So that means hours of sitting in the dark watching these kids give it their all on stage, and I love it. Being able to take a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon and evening and support the kids who choose to do theater. It's really important to us, so it's great to get to go to other districts and see their musicals, which we did last weekend. We went to see Mamma Mia, and I pulled out a skein of yarn from Bumblebee Acres. And I am loving how this sock is working up. It is the red Jamie and Sassenach yarn that is inspired by Outlander. It is on their squishy sock base, which is a 75-25. It's a 100-gram skein. It's all caked up as one skein. I did consider starting the second sock and working these in tandem, but at the time I couldn't find my other US 0 circular knitting needle. So for now I have the first sock almost done. Like many of us do, I have my markers on here indicating every 10 rows to make sure my sock fits, as well as knitting sock number 1 is the same for sock number 2. And I like to put a purple or a contrast marker on here so I know working my first sock, here's my leg, here's my heel turn, and here's my foot. So I have just a little bit more to go before I decrease for the toe. I am not using a contrast yarn for these at all, but I am knitting 60 stitches, 2x2 ribbing for 20 rows with a 60 row leg. And then these are going to be knit to fit a US women's 8 shoe because that's what I wear. So that's the third project that I've worked on. I've got one more project and that's it. I have really put a lot of time onto this sweater. So much so that it doesn't fit in the bag anymore. That's something I enjoy with a sweater project, is watching it come together and be just skeins and skeins of yarn in a project bag, and then coming to the end and it's just the very end. I have one skein of yarn, which this one here, that I've not broken into yet for this sweater, and one ball on one skein that I'm using. And this yarn is from Autumn House Farm, where yarn is born, and they are on Facebook as the Autumn House Farm, the Fiber Works. And this is a wool blend. It's a DK weight yarn, and I purchased this at Rhinebeck 2024. And the bag, I didn't say it's from Tanny Casey. It is the summertime camping print, but that is because this is one of the largest project bags that I have. So it just works. The project that I have been knitting on is my test knit for Alicia Plumer, and I'm going to give you guys a little peek at the progress that I've made. So when you saw it last, I was here at this marker. This is a top, this is a bottom up sweater. So I had knit all of this up to this marker, and then I was able to do all of the shaping for the sleeves, split front and back, and have one sleeve just about done. Now this is that oversized cozy sweater, so this sleeve is very big, very oversized. I am going to be ripping out the cuff, breaking the rules from the pattern, and knitting it a little bit tighter. So I've already decreased less stitches than are required, and even with it pulled tightly, I could do a relatively tighter bind off. I'm not putting it on the whole way because of the microphone, but you can see it's baggy, which I love. I'm just excited to have that cozy throw over sweater. And I would, because the sleeve is so baggy, I want the cuff to kind of be tighter, that it's not, I don't want it that loose. Like that's too loose for me. That's uncomfortable. So I really want to probably take out like 10 more stitches and then have it so that it's really kind of snug. So it'll be a little, not a little, it's really going to be a balloon sleeve, but I'm okay with that. I think it's going to look very, very nice. I'd like to figure all of that out with sleeve number 1. So when it comes time to knitting sleeve number 2, I can do that. So I really need to get cracking on this. I think I've got about 2 weeks to have this finished. Have an idea of where I'd like to do my finished object pictures. Not quite sure if that's going to work out. But very happy with the progress that I have made on this sweater. This is going to be the last DK weight sweater, or at least long sleeve sweater for a while. I am ready to dig into some spring and summertime knits. I watched Casey Apple's episode with some inspiration of spring and summer patterns. Knitting Addi also put out an inspiration video of some patterns that she liked, and there was a third that I have watched with just different garments for spring and summer garments, because I love this. I love how quick it is, but I know I'm not going to get as much wear out of this because it's April now. And it is humid today. I don't know what is going on here in Pennsylvania, but it is warm. So I'll have some early mornings where I can wear this, but it won't be really put into a big rotation in my wardrobe until the fall. But I have zero regrets in knitting it. I've loved it. It's been wonderful to have just that oversized sweater on the needles, vanilla knitting, fun little details that I'm going to talk about more when it's actually finished and you see it on my person, which should hopefully keep me accountable, be on the next episode. I know I was genuinely excited to sit down and record this episode, and I feel like I just flew through the projects that I've been knitting on, but really the baby dress was a real quick, like, weekend project type of deal. The sweater was my at-home evening knitting, and the other projects were my portable play projects while we were at musicals. So sorry that it's been a couple of weeks and this is such a short episode. That's a life in general. For a life update, haven't been doing much more besides work and the musicals. Like I've already said, we are counting down until school ends now. Lillian said something ridiculous like she has 8 weeks of school until summer vacation. We've booked a couple of trips for our summer and are working on the summer calendar of what we're doing and when, and it's wild to think it's the beginning of April and we are just filling up the calendar with fun things to do. Besides her competition and high school musicals, we haven't done a whole lot of extracurricular fun things. We are anxiously waiting for warmer weather. It's like I said, it's kind of humid today. I think it's warm, and it's like that little tease of summer is coming. It's just around the corner, and I'm ready for it. I really am. Reading and watching. I'm not reading anything right now. What I'm watching, the sock Witchery, Lindsay has been doing an April vlog, so I've been watching that throughout the day, or in the evening usually, to catch up on her day. And of course Rachel from the Pearls and Polish podcast, and Molly of A Homespun House has put out a couple of vlogs and just podcast episodes, and I like watching all of those podcasts because they knit a diverse bit of projects, and so does Jenny Lee Knits of Wyoming Knits, and seeing sweaters and socks and accessories and a good variety. And that's what I'm hoping to continue to bring to you guys on these episodes. I'm looking forward to casting on my next sweater. I already know what it's going to be. I'm thinking about casting on a blanket. And I have another baby project that I'm hoping to start within the month of April. Starting the month out, those are my goals. I want to finish these 3 projects that I have talked about on this episode, and then have 3 more that I plan on starting this month. And I've decided I'm not going to worry about doing stash in, stash out, skeins in, skeins out. It's something I've never really tracked for myself personally. I don't know how I would do it. I know there are ways to do it. I don't buy a lot of yarn. Let's just be honest. If you are a longtime viewer, you know it is very rare that there are stash enhancements segments on this podcast. And I love that. I love my stash. It is very small. I did an Instagram story the other day and showed like my stash in totality, and I'm enjoying using what I have. So the next 3 patterns are picked out. I thought I had the one skein of yarn close by for the blanket. I was going to show you that, but it is put away until I am allowing myself to use it, and just trying to meet those daily goals of getting these projects done. So I hope you guys are reaching your goals, whatever they are. If you'd like to share what they are, I'd love to read that in the comments below. It's so fun when we can have that conversation in the comments, and that's where we're going to end it. Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode. If you did enjoy it, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. I would love to hit 600 subscribers in April. I am very, very close. So if you enjoyed this episode, give it a like, give it a share. And then maybe if we hit 600 subscribers in April, we'll definitely do a giveaway. So a little bit of incentive to share with your friends. We are going to say goodbye. Thank you again for tuning in to this channel. Your support means so much to me. And until next time, happy knitting, and I'll see you soon. Bye.